Welcome back to the Sanctuary of Truth, the only place where we dare to dissect the rotting carcass of narcissistic delusion with surgical precision. You are here because you have survived a war that left no physical scars, yet nearly incinerated your very soul. You have spent years as a host for a parasite that thrived on your empathy, your light, and your willingness to believe in a lie. Today, the power dynamic is shifting forever. We are diving into the darkest corridor of their manipulation, the sexual trap. It is a biological heist, a calculated robbery of your dopamine and oxytocin designed to turn your body into a prison. We are answering the big, haunting question: why does the person who claims to love you use intimacy as a weapon of mass destruction to bind you to their internal void? Imagine a cinematic landscape where the shadows are long and the air is thick with the scent of a coming storm. You are standing in the middle of a bridge that has been set on fire by the very person who swore to protect you. In the beginning, they didn't use a knife, they used a kiss. They didn't use chains, they used the most intense, soul-shattering connection you had ever experienced. But it was a mirage. It was a chemical hook designed to sink deep into your nervous system. You are here because you feel like an addict, unable to walk away from the very source of your pain. You wonder if you are crazy, but I am here to tell you that you are not crazy, and a sedang dikulik sekra biologist ol serang predator yang tahu persis kara membajako takanda. The narcissist operates on a specific currency, and that currency is your reaction. But the sexual trap is different. It is their nuclear option. It is how they ensure that even when you finally see the monster behind the mask, your body still screams for their presence. Have you ever wondered why you feel a physical ache when they withhold affection? Why the same person who treats you like trash in the morning can make you feel like a god at night? This is not love. It is a high-stakes psychological game where your nervous system is the board. Today, we expose the 5 cruel tactics they use to turn your most vulnerable moments into the bars of your own cage, ensuring you stay anchored to their darkness. Stay with me, because this isn't just about their cruelty, it's about your liberation from a prison with invisible bars. For too long, you have been trapped in the why of their inconsistent behavior, wondering if you were the problem. I am here to tell you that your high-value empathy was the only thing keeping their darkness at bay. The narcissist doesn't want a partner, they want a battery. They use intimacy to charge their empty shell, and they use the chemical bond it creates to ensure you don't leave when the battery runs dry. By the end of this script, you will understand the mechanics of this theft, and you will learn how to reclaim your body from the predator who tried to colonize it. Think of this as a documentary of a psychological shipwreck. The narcissist is the captain who decided to throw the lighthouse keeper overboard because the light was too bright and exposed the leaks in the hull. Now, they are sailing into the dark, convinced they are free, unaware that the rocks are waiting just beneath the surface. But you are the lighthouse. You are the source of the light they tried to extinguish. They used the sexual trap to dim your brightness, to make you believe that you were only valuable when you were serving their needs. We are here to flip the switch. We are here to show you that the connection you mourn was actually a calculated campaign of biological warfare. Most people think narcissists get away with it. They see them on social media with a new supply, looking happier than ever, and they feel a crushing sense of injustice. But I need you to understand that everything you see is a carefully curated propaganda film designed to mask a terrifying internal collapse. The narcissist is a dopamine addict who just burned down the pharmacy. The sexual trap they set for you was their way of trying to steal your sanity to pay for their own. When they do this, when they use intimacy to bind you, they are actually confessing their own absolute dependency on your light. Without you, they are just a shadow screaming into a vacuum. And today, we stop the scream. This script is a mix of psychological warfare breakdown and cinematic revelation. We are going to deconstruct the extinction burst of their ego. We are going to show you why their new life is actually a frantic, manic attempt to outrun the shame of what they did to you. They are currently in a state of duper's delight, but the high is already fading. The tragedy of the narcissist is that they are forever seeking a home they can never inhabit because they burn every house they enter. By the time this journey is over, you will no longer feel like the victim. You will realize you were the prize that the thief was too broken to keep, and the chemical cuffs are about to break. Have you ever wondered why they become so much more aggressive and cold right after a moment of intense closeness? It's because they are terrified of the very intimacy they simulate. The act of binding you isn't about love, it's a desperate survival mechanism for their false self. They set the trap because if you are chemically addicted to them, then their betrayal is safe. They believe that as long as they can trigger your dopamine, you will never hold them accountable for their darkness. But the body has a memory, and today, we are going to start the process of purging the predator from your veins. The secret knowledge is out, and the narcissist's time in your temple is coming to a brutal end. We are moving into the heart of the black hole psychology. A narcissist is an entity that exists only through the recognition of others. When they use sex to bind you, they are essentially committing ego amputation on you. They think they are losing a burden when they devalue you, but they are actually losing their only source of authentic reflection. What follows for them is a tragic descent into irrelevance. They become shadow dwellers, hopping from one superficial connection to another, each one shorter and more hollow than the last. The end isn't a bang, it's a long, agonizing whimper in a room full of people who don't even know their real name, and you won't be there to hear it. Brace yourself for Chapter 2, where we will break down the 5 hidden tactics behind this sexual sabotage. We are going to use visceral metaphors to show you the chaos that reigns in their internal world once the light of your empathy is gone. If you are ready to stop looking back at the burning bridge and start looking forward at the horizon of your own sovereignty, then you are ready for the truth. The narcissist didn't choose you for your flaws, they chose you for your strength, and they used the most sacred part of human connection to try and break that strength. But you are still here, and the exposure begins now. This is the moment you stop being the supply and start being the survivor. Tactic number 1 is the mirroring mirage. In the beginning, the narcissist isn't loving you, they are studying you like a lab specimen. They find out your deepest desires, your hidden fantasies, and your unspoken needs. Then, they become the perfect sexual avatar. They reflect back to you everything you've ever wanted in a partner. It feels like a soulmate connection, but it's actually a psychological heist. They are using your own identity to create a mask that they wear during intimacy. This creates a powerful chemical high because your brain believes it has finally found the one, when in reality, you are just falling in love with a reflection of your own capacity for love. The second tactic is intermittent reinforcement, the most addictive drug on the planet. The narcissist will give you the most intense affection you've ever known, and then, without warning, they will become cold, distant, and repulsed. This creates a dopamine loop in your brain. You begin to chase the high of the idealization phase, working harder and harder to fix whatever you think you did wrong. Your body begins to produce cortisol during the cold periods and a flood of oxytocin during the brief moments of reconnect. This chemical push-pull creates a trauma bond that is stronger than any logical thought, making you a prisoner to the next hit of validation. Third is triangulation of the bedchamber. The narcissist will subtly, or not so subtly, bring up exes, friends, or even strangers during your most private moments. They might compare your performance, your body, or your enthusiasm to someone else. This is designed to create a sense of competition and insecurity. By making you feel like you are on an audition rather than in a partnership, they ensure that your focus is entirely on pleasing them. They want you to fight for their approval in the bedroom so that they remain the ultimate prize. It is a cruel psychological game that strips away your safety and replaces it with a desperate need to be enough for them. The fourth tactic is the pedestal discard. During the love bombing phase, they put you on a pedestal, making you feel like a sexual goddess or god. They worship you, but the motive is sinister. They are building you up just so the fall is more devastating. Once they feel they have won you, the deactivation begins. They start to withhold sex as a form of punishment and control. They want to see you beg. They want to see you cry for the intimacy they once gave freely. This shift is a calculated move to break your self-esteem, making you believe that your worth is tied to their desire for you. They turn your own sexuality into a carrot on a stick. Finally, we have degradation through devaluation. This is where the narcissist begins to introduce elements of shame or disrespect into the intimacy. They might mock you after sex, ignore you, or act as if the encounter was a chore. They want to associate your most vulnerable state with a sense of worthlessness. By tainting the sexual connection with their darkness, They ensure that you feel dirty or damaged, which makes you feel like no one else would ever want you. This is the ultimate chemical binding. They make you feel like your only option is to stay in their darkness because you are now part of it. It is a systematic assassination of your self-respect. Inside the narcissist's mind, these tactics are not seen as cruel, they are seen as necessary controls. They view you as an object that must be managed. Their internal world is a graveyard of discarded selves, and they are terrified of you becoming a person with your own agency. They use the sexual trap to keep you in a state of biological fog. If they can keep your brain chemistry imbalanced through drama and sex, you won't have the clarity to see that they are actually an empty shell. They are like a parasite that injects a numbing agent before it feeds, so the host doesn't feel the bite until the blood is already gone. You have to understand that for the narcissist, sex is about power, not connection. They don't know how to connect. They are psychologically incapable of empathy. When they look at you during intimacy, they aren't seeing your soul, they are seeing their own reflection in your eyes. They are checking to see if they are still the king or the queen. The moment you stop reacting with the intensity they demand, they feel a narcissistic injury. They don't feel sad, they feel robbed. Their secret thought is, how dare this object stop working for me? This is why the devaluation is so brutal. It's a retaliation for your human need for real intimacy. Their hidden fear is the mirror of truth. You were the only one who held up a mirror that reflected their potential greatness alongside their actual flaws. They used the sexual trap to try and shatter that mirror. They wanted to make you so confused, so addicted, and so broken that you would stop seeing the truth of their inadequacy. But a mask cannot be loved, and a mask cannot love back. The narcissist enters a state of profound loneliness that they mask with these tactics. They are surrounded by the bodies they've trapped, yet they are more alone than they have ever been, because they have destroyed the only bridge to real human contact. The price of lust for the narcissist is total internal disintegration. By using sex as a weapon, they have destroyed their own capacity for genuine pleasure. They are on a treadmill of diminishing returns, needing more and more extreme drama to feel a spark of aliveness. They are temporal nomads, forever stuck in the search for the next high, unable to build a life of substance. They are a hollow shell traveling through time, unaware that they are the primary victim of their own total erasure. They do this to find peace, but they are the source of their own war, and you are just the collateral damage they use to fuel the battle. As we move into Chapter 3, the power is going to shift. We are going to see what happens when the supply wakes up. We are going to detail the exact moment the narcissist realizes their chemical cuffs are slipping, and the plot twist that follows. They didn't just trap you, they walked into a trap of their own making. When you stop providing the reaction they crave, the narcissist begins to drown in their own void. The dramatic turning point begins now, and it is going to be a cold, hard awakening for the predator who thought they could own your soul through your body. The light is coming back, and the darkness is about to tremble. The dramatic turning point begins the second you stop asking for permission to be yourself. For months, or years, you've been walking on eggshells, tailoring your intimacy and your energy to suit their fragile ego. But then, something snaps. You reach the point of total exhaustion. The dopamine loop breaks because the pain has finally outweighed the pleasure. You look at them in the bed and you don't see a soulmate, you see a stranger. This is the psychological pivot. The chemical fog begins to lift, and for the first time, you see the predator in high definition. The power hasn't just shifted, it has returned to its rightful owner. When the narcissist senses this shift, they don't respond with love, they respond with panic. They are regulation parasites, and they can feel when the host is developing an immunity. They will try a grand hoover. They will pull out the most intense version of the sexual trap they have. They will be more attentive, more passionate, and more vulnerable than ever before. But because you've seen the secret knowledge, it feels like a bad performance. You see the gears turning. You see the desperation. Their nuclear option is failing, and for a narcissist, a failed seduction is a death blow to their false sense of omnipotence. Watch the narcissist's reaction to your indifference. This is the cinematic shift. They might try to triangulate you with a new supply, flaunting a new conquest to make you feel less than. In the past, this would have sent you into a spiral of jealousy and hysterical bonding. But now, you just feel pity. You see the next victim being led into the same slaughterhouse you just escaped. Your lack of reaction is a narcissistic injury that causes them to spiral. They are screaming into a vacuum, trying to get a spark of the old you, but the battery has been removed. They are left holding a dead remote control. This is the plot twist. The narcissist realized they made a catastrophic mistake. By devaluing you so harshly, they inadvertently detoxed you. They pushed you so far into the darkness that you had no choice but to find your own light. They thought they were breaking you, but they were actually making you. Now, you are untouchable. You are somatic sovereign. You realize that your body belongs to you, and your energy is a sacred resource that they no longer have the clearance to access. The narcissist is now the supplicant, begging for a gaze that you are no longer willing to give. The shift in power is absolute when the survivor reaches total indifference. When you stop caring what they think, when you stop looking for justice in their eyes, and when you stop monitoring their life, you effectively amputate them from your reality. To a narcissist, being ignored is the same as being annihilated. They would rather you hate them than be indifferent to them. Your silence is a black hole that sucks in their grandiosity. They start to feel invisible, and for an entity that exists only through attention, invisibility is the first stage of ego death. You have exited the narrative. Watch how the narcissist reacts when the sexual trap fails to snap. They might try intimidation, becoming aggressive, cold, or cruel to force you back into compliance. If you stay dark, if you stay silent, the narcissist begins to decompensate. They are losing the war of attrition, and the panic is starting to show through the cracks in the mask. They realize that they didn't just lose a partner, they lost a top-tier supplier. They are starving in a room full of scraps. They do this, they try to trigger you, and finding that you are bored by their drama is the final verdict on their power. The narcissist's social capital begins to rot. Because they are manic and unstable from the loss of your high-quality supply, they start to make mistakes in their public persona. They become overly aggressive, arrogant, or pitiable in ways that alienate their flying monkeys. People start to see the shadow they tried to hide. The new supply starts to get devalued earlier than usual because the narcissist is desperate to find the high they had with you. The empire of lies is starting to wobble, and the narcissist is the one who kicked the first brick. You have won by simply doing nothing. This is the psychological warfare of the apathetic strategy. Most survivors think they need to expose the narcissist to get revenge. But the narcissist loves a fight, it's still supply. The real revenge is the withdrawal of recognition. You are telling the narcissist, I no longer recognize you as a significant force in my universe. This is the only thing that can break them because they exist only through the recognition of others. If you don't look at them, they feel like they are disappearing. You are the black hole that is devouring their light, and there is nothing they can do to stop it. They are secretly obsessed with your new life. If you have left them and are thriving, they stare at your photos with a hunger that is vampiric. They are looking for a crack in the armor. They think, she must be miserable. She must miss me. But when they see the peace in your eyes, they feel a cold, hard weight in his chest. They realize that you were the sun, and he was just a black hole that was extinguished by your indifference. His desperation stare at your social media is a ritual of self-torture. He is haunting a life he can no longer inhabit. As we move into Chapter 4, the collapse is going to intensify. We are going to see the tragic end of the narcissist who did this, who traded integrity for lust, and now finds himself bankrupt in every area of his life. We are going to look at the social isolation, the internal panic, and the final disintegration of his false self. The sexual trap has become their personal hell. They do this, they trade reality for ego, and the bill has finally come due. The collapse is total, and there is no new supply in the world that can buy them a second chance. The collapse begins with narcissistic anhedonia, the total inability to feel pleasure in anything. The narcissist has burnt out their dopamine receptors chasing the high of the sexual trap. Now, even if they get a new partner to look back, it isn't enough. The void is larger than ever. They do this, they seek validation through aggression, only to find that validation without connection is nutritional zero. He is starving in a room full of mirroring, but the mirror is broken. He feels nothing but a cold, gnawing boredom that is psychologically lethal. Now comes the social disintegration. The narcissist's smear campaign against his exes has backfired. Because he is so manic and unhinged in his desperation, the community has seen the shadow. His flying monkeys are deserting the sinking ship. People are talking about how off he seems. He is losing his status in real time. He stares with predatory entitlement, and the world responds with absolute exclusion. He is isolated on an island of shame, and he is realizing that he has no friends, only victims who have escaped. The internal panic turns into paranoia. He becomes convinced that everyone is laughing at him, that women are conspiring to humiliate him, and that his obsoleteness is a plot by the universe. This is projective paranoia. He is projecting his own self-hatred onto the world. He starts to hide. He becomes reclusive or overly defensive, picking fights with anyone who dares to witness his decline. He is suffocating in a mental prison of his own deceit. He do this to find power, but he has ended up with absolute impotence. His physical reality starts to reflect his internal rot. The aging narcissist often experiences somatic collapse, unexplained illnesses, chronic fatigue, or rapid aging. The stress of maintaining the false self is eating him alive. He looks in the mirror and doesn't recognize the bitter stranger staring back. He did this just months after being the king, and the tragedy is written on his face. He is biological evidence of the price of somatic tyranny. He is fading while the women he haunted are glowing, and the contrast is a death blow to his ego. The final discard happens to him. Not by a person, but by the sexual marketplace. He is aged out. He is irrelevant. He did this, he tried to compete with the young men, and the comparison is brutal. He is a vintage car with a blown engine, trying to race against Ferraris. He realizes that he has nothing to offer but old lies and rusted charm. He is starving in a buffet of life because he forgot how to be a guest. He is trapped in a personal hell where every stare is a reminder of what he lost. The tragic end is the total loss of identity. He has told so many lies to so many women that he has forgotten who he was supposed to be. He is a ghost in a stolen suit. When he did this, when he stared with that uncanny intensity, he effectively amputates his own humanity. He is a man without a story, wandering through the social desert, looking for a reflection that isn't a caricature. He is psychologically dead long before his heart stops beating. This is the ultimate karma for a lifetime of using people as mirrors. Watch the narcissistic mortification that occurs when he sees you succeed. When he finds out you have a healthy partner who loves you for your soul, it triggers an ego collapse that is brutal to witness. He feels like you stole his supply, even though he was the one who abused you. He becomes obsessed with your happiness. It is a poison in his veins. He did this, he stares at your new life from the shadows, and realizing that you won by losing him is a humiliation that he cannot gaslight away. He is broken by your peace. The social isolation is the final act. Narcissists are social parasites who need an audience to feel real. As he ages, and as his charm becomes creepy, the audience gets bored and walks out. He ends up as the bitter, lonely person in the corner, ranting about how women used to be better. He has no deep connections, no loyalty, and no love. He has free sex but no intimacy. He has followers but no friends. He did this to be free, but he has ended up in solitary confinement. The tragedy of the narcissist is that he is conscious of his own irrelevance. He sees the world moving on without him. He sees the women he used now thriving in the light while he is rotting in the shadows. This is God's irony or universal justice. The person who tried to be the center of the universe ends up as a speck of dust on the horizon. He did this, he traded reality for ego, and the bill has finally come due. The collapse is total, and there is no new supply in the world that can buy them a second chance. As we move into Chapter 5, we are going to deliver the final truth punch. We are going to provide the emotional closure and empowerment that you need to walk away forever. We are going to show you that the narcissist's tragic end was written in the stars the moment he did this. You are the hero who survived the horror movie, and the monster is currently dissolving in its own acid. The final truth is about to set you free, and it is a cinematic closing that will change your life forever. We arrive at the final truth, the secret knowledge that changes the geometry of your pain. The narcissist's sexual trap wasn't a sign of their power, it was a confession of their bankruptcy. They used intimacy to bind you because they knew they had nothing else to offer. They stared because they were empty. They were drowning. And you were the only real thing they ever encountered. You are not a victim of their gaze, you are a witness to their dissolution. He is a psychological ghost who is fading while you are materializing into your true power. You must understand that their departure from your life was actually your resurrection. 4 years, you were the battery for a broken machine. You were the mirror for a mask. When he did this, when he stared at you with that uncanny intensity, he was actually exorcising your innocence to make room for your wisdom. It felt like abuse, but it was actually a fire that purified your soul. The narcissist saved you from a life of mediocrity. He took the darkness with them, leaving you with the keys to the garden. Empowerment begins with radical acceptance of their hollowness. You were trying to love a simulated person. You were trying to build a home with a hologram. When he did this, when he stared at you like an object, it's because he has no soul to bond with yours. This is the brutal truth that sets you free. You didn't lose a partner, you escaped a simulation. You are real, he is fake, and reality always outlasts the illusion. The recoil you feel is your soul recognizing its freedom from the parasite. The narcissist's tragic end is stagnation. While you are growing, evolving, and deepening, he is stuck in a perpetual loop of the first date. He is doomed to perform the same charm, tell the same lies, and discard the same victims until he dies. He is trapped in a museum of his own failures. Your success is the final proof of his irrelevance. Every smile you share with a real person, every moment of peace in your new life, is a dagger in the heart of his grandiosity. Why do they end tragically? Because they have no internal compass. They are sailing without a map, and the wind of novelty has died. They are drifting into the gray zone of obsolescence. As they age, and as their charm becomes creepy, they realize that they have nothing to offer the world but shadows. They are starving for the light they once stole from you. But the light is gone, and you have soundproofed your garden. They are screaming into a vacuum, and the silence is their final verdict. This is the cinematic closing of your trauma. You are standing at the edge of the forest, and for the first time, you don't feel the shadow of the wolf. You realize that the wolf was always a coward who only hunted because you offered your neck. You have reclaimed your power. You have integrated your shadow. You are now armored with secret knowledge. The narcissist is a ghost haunting a house that you no longer live in. You are whole. You are free. You are the architect of your own joy. Closure is the decision that they are irrelevant. You don't need an apology from a machine. You don't need remorse from a parasite. Their tragic end is the justice. The fact that they have to be themselves for the rest of their lives is the ultimate punishment. Imagine being trapped inside a narcissist's mind forever, no love, no peace, no truth. That is a sentence harsher than anything a judge could deliver. You have been pardoned from that prison. Walk away and don't look back at the ruin. You are the winner because you can still feel. The narcissist did this to win, but in doing so, they lost the only thing that makes life worth living, genuine connection. They are hollow men and hollow women, whispering in the wind. You are solid. You are deep. You are connected to the universe. Your vulnerability is your strength, and your empathy is your superpower. You have transcended the game, while they are locked in the arena fighting ghosts. The war is over. The light has returned. To the survivors watching this, empowerment is not about revenge, it's about resurrection. It's about finding the self that they tried to bury. They did this to kill you, but they accidentally birthed a warrior. You are untouchable now. You have the sight. You can see the red flags from a mile away. You are the guardian of your own garden. The narcissist is fading into the background noise of your history, while you are the protagonist of your infinite future. The final, quotable truth is this: a narcissist doesn't bind you because they love you, they bind you because they are a hollow entity terrified of their own silence. Their trap is your test, and your freedom is their final collapse. You are the truth. You are the light. And you are finally home with yourself. Go live the life they tried to steal. You earned it with your pain, but you will keep it with your wisdom. The silence of the narcissist is the music of your freedom. Walk on, and never look back.